Hello everyone, welcome to BK Live on this sunny Wednesday. Just a little rain to get us started on the way in. Sprinkles make things grow. They're jealous of us in California. Now they have a better reason even. We're taking all the water. We're taking all the water.
He's Brian Vines.
Oh, hey, I'm Brian. This is Melody.
I'm Melody.
Melody Vargas, welcome.
That's right. Brian, I've got something for you. I've got an adventure for you.
Oh, I do like an adventure.
Okay, so looking for a mixture of ghost adventures and drunk history?
Never have I ever, but I'm intrigued. Go on. Go on.
Well, if you would like to drink wine from a bag and reach out to the spirits that inhabit Prospect Park.
A bag? Like one of those cowboys in the Andes?
No, like a brown paper bag. Like a brown paper bag. Got your wine in there, you can join.
Ripple.
Exactly.
Like a hobo.
You can join the Brooklyn Paranormal Society on October 6th as they foray into Prospect Park to investigate the areas
They've got a
of
logo
4
even.
murders. Ooh,
so
that's
these
them.
are, Chris, our camera operator behind camera number 2, told me he went to their About section, and their whole About on their website is, we like to drink and go out looking for ghosts. In that order.
Exactly.
We like to get drunk and go.
And then go out looking for ghosts.
You know.
But you can also bring a flask.
Well, I always do. It's the economical choice. But if you're like, I'm not a Halloween person at all.
No?
No, I don't
I'm kind of
enjoy
into it. I'm on the edge. I mean, I don't know that I would necessarily do this, though.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah. Do you watch all these paranormal shows and ghost investigators and hunters and all that stuff?
No, my boyfriend is very into them, though.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Do you know there are like 35 seasons of Ghost Adventures?
Really?
Yeah.
And they haven't found a single ghost, have they? But God bless him. The BRIC house, I heard, is haunted. If you've ever come down to BRIC, we'll be nice to you. But I heard that like this was an old vaudeville house and maybe some shady things
Is that
happened.
why it's so cold in here? The spirits.
Okay, moving on. There's also some very much alive people here at BRIC House tonight. The Real Sisters Film Festival is making a stop here on our stoop right behind us. We've got a big old screen, and they're gonna pull it down for tea and cinema tonight from 6:30 to 9. They're gonna be showing 6 shorts and phenomenal films, and it's free 99.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
my price.
Come on down to BRIC House tonight at 6:30 for a little tea and cinema. Pinkies up, all right? Well, the plans for affordable housing in New York have never been more ambitious, whether prompted by Mayor de Blasio's administration or pushed by the advocacy community. But like the old saying about making omelets and breaking eggs, you can't build greater capacity in the city without taller buildings that demand higher rents. As many people are now pointing out, that will change the nature of a number of neighborhoods. One of them is East New York, and Jared Murphy of City Limits will lead a discussion of how this debate is playing out there.
That's right. And then Eric and Colin Jacobson are musically talented brothers who used to host chamber music get-togethers. That grew into becoming founders and co-directors of The Knights, an orchestral collective which just happens to be doing a residency right here at the BRIC House. Just this Monday, they recorded with renowned cellist Yo-Yo Ma. We got a chance to see a little of what's going on in the ballroom, and we'll show you that later.
There's nothing like standing in the coffee line when Yo-Yo Ma comes by.
Jealous.
He's a rock star who's not a rock star.
I missed it.
But in the world of New York City high school sports, one of the biggest controversies centers around athletes, especially star athletes, transferring from one school to another. The Public School Athletic League has rules about this, but a lot of people think they're too restrictive. In fact, one specific case was adjudicated by the state Supreme Court only a few days ago. Michael Bellamy will talk to 2 prominent former football players, plus a lawyer who represents the quarterback involved in that latest decision.
Then we'll end with laughter and song. Laughter from our stand-up comedy series Be Funny, and song live here in the studio from Aaron Maya, whose new album comes out today.
All right, iTunes, y'all. But first up, however, it's the developing battle over development, the one where affordability meets gentrification. Jared Murphy and his panel will take up the discussion in just a moment.
For most of its existence, East New York has been on the edge of Jamaica Bay, the edge of Brooklyn's map, the edge between poverty and prosperity. But now it is right at the center of Mayor de Blasio's plan to create affordable housing. A proposal to rezone East New York has just started its way through the city's public review process and is generating plenty of controversy about gentrification, displacement, industrial jobs, and more. Here to talk about the situation are Abigail Savage-Liu, who has covered East New York for City Limits for years. Hi, Abby.
Hi.
Dharma Diaz, an organizer with the Coalition for Community Advancement in East New York. Welcome, Dharma.
Thank you. Welcome.
And Moses Gates, the Director of Planning and Community Development at the Association for Nonprofit Housing Development. Thanks for coming, Moses.
Thanks.
So, Dharma, East New York is a wonderful neighborhood for those of us who've visited it, but a lot of folks watching this or hearing this probably haven't. You've been there for a while. What makes it special and different among Brooklyn neighborhoods? What defines East New York?
East New York is, Cypress Hills is within East New York, within itself. I moved into the neighborhood in 1979. It's always known as the North and the South. The North End has been low density, highly populated, as to where the South End has been highly populated, large buildings, a lot of economic development. That's pretty much who we are, diverse in culture and ethnic groups.
Why do you like it?
I like it and I love it. You know, I moved in from Williamsburg to Bushwick, and I just see that the trend continues. It's what not to like. Cypress Hills, East New York, the J train runs smoothly. We have many mom and pop shops. It's the go-to community. We definitely have a large Bangladeshi community that's come in. The Asian community is also growing. It's definitely our Mecca. Cypress Hills, East New York is the place to be, quite frankly, between the mom and shops and the easygoing people in the crowd. And education is getting better with time. And now with this boom that we're about to get, who will leave Cypress Hills, East New York? It's definitely the place to be. A little tension right now, but we're good.
A little bit. Well, let's get into that. So, Abby, we know that there is tension about this plan, but let's talk about the plan itself. What is the mayor and the City Planning Commission, City Planning Department proposing to do in East New York?
Absolutely. So the mayor wants to change zoning codes in East New York to allow for greater residential development. And part of that is because the city has identified vacant or underutilized land in that neighborhood and thinks that it would be a great and inexpensive place to develop affordable housing. And though, it must be added that there will be market rate housing is part of that proposal as well. The city is really proud of this plan because they don't just see it as a rezoning plan, they see it as a neighborhood revitalization plan. So noting, for instance, that there's a lot of unemployment in East New York, they're saying they're touting this also as like an economic development plan. New large-scale buildings will have ground floor retail, which will bring jobs. They're saying that the plan could bring in almost 4,000 jobs, mostly in retail. And they're also touting different things like in terms of revitalizing streets, making streets safer. But basically the rezoning part is they would leave most of the side streets in their current zoning, preserving the residential character. But the main boulevards like Atlantic Avenue and Fulton Street and Pitkin Avenue and Liberty Avenue would be upzoned so that there could be on Atlantic Avenue, there could be buildings as high as 14 stories, 12 to 14 stories. Right now, Atlantic Avenue is mostly auto use commercial as well as some light manufacturing zonings. So that would definitely shift the character to sort of pretty high residential with ground floor retail, as well as commercial buildings like large-scale commercial buildings, where you could have department stores and that kind of thing. And the other major boulevards as well, like Pitkin, Liberty, Fulton, not quite as high as Atlantic, but also higher residential.
And that higher residential density is part of the math to permit this affordable housing. And obviously there's a citywide angle to this too. Simultaneous to the East New York plan coming out was the citywide mandatory inclusionary housing proposal, which is a mouthful. Tell us what that means.
So mandatory inclusionary housing essentially means that in the future, if you upzone an area, if you allow for taller and denser buildings, a portion of that has to be set aside as affordable housing. And the city has come out with a variety of different options, and it's still being debated. City Council still has to weigh in on it. We still have to kind of formulate the final plan. But the part that's kind of being missed is this only works if you have a really strong housing market. You know, you have to have rents or sales prices that are pretty high in order to cross-subsidize the affordable housing. And the city has really announced only rezonings in poorer areas so far where the market can't support this. You know, in East New York, you don't leverage any additional affordability out of the density right now. It costs money to build housing, affordable housing in East New York. It costs city subsidy, and so if you increase the density, all you're ultimately doing is increasing the amount of city subsidy that needs to go into it. So as a result, the housing plan for East New York over the next few years doesn't really rely on the mandatory inclusionary zoning. It relies more on city housing programs and city subsidy. And if you want to really leverage the market into affordable housing, you have to upzone areas that are wealthier and have stronger housing markets. Doing it in East New York, Jerome Avenue, even East Harlem and downtown Flushing, which have a little bit stronger market, that's not gonna do it. The city has to really start looking hard at wealthier communities to upzone for affordable housing.
Let's go back to East New York. Dharma, yes. Do you feel that the neighborhood needed a plan? Was this something that you were hoping to see and it's a question of what's been proposed? Or tell me about how you came to this process.
I definitely agree we needed a plan. We definitely have a housing shortage. Without a doubt. We have many of our two-family homes with illegal conversions. We have 2 and 3 families living in one unit. So do we need a plan? Yes, but we need a reasonable plan. This is not reasonable. Right now what we're looking at is at displacement. Currently the city's saying average income is $37,000. And then that's not the average income for a family in Cypress Hills, East New York. So definitely a plan, yes, but a reasonable plan, as Moses was saying earlier, East New York is not prepared for the rental increase that's going to come into the neighborhood. As I was speaking with Abby earlier, the question was, well, what's happening? What's the trend now in East New York for those that are there and not able to pay their rents? They're moving out of state. Mm-hmm. The South, or it's really the big buzz in East New York. Families are just saying we got to get up and go.
And have you written about the threat of displacement is one that the administration has obviously heard, and something they've tried in a few neighborhoods is to put in place workers and resources to protect tenants against displacement. You've written previously about those efforts in East New York. What does that look like? Is that getting traction?
Well, it's somewhat controversial. So I would say that one of the city's biggest new programs is they've really expanded the amount of money that's going to legal services, free legal services for tenants in rent-regulated buildings, specifically in these rezoning areas. So for the next fiscal year, they are going to have, it's going to be a $36 million budget for legal services, which includes about $2 million for community organizations to help tenants connect to those services, as well as an additional $4 or $5 million that's going to something called the Tenant Support Unit, and that is a new unit of city-hired sort of outreach people who are also going to help tenants connect to connect to legal services, and so that's one initiative. The city has a lot of other initiatives where they're trying to like basically pinpoint bad landlords, but I think that there has been some mixed response to that, because I think that you have a lot of community groups that are saying this new tenant support unit is not a good use of resources. These resources should have gone to community groups who already have existing networks and can, existing relationships with tenants. And also, I know that groups such as the one that Dharma is a part of, the Coalition for Community Advancement, has called for other sorts of anti-displacement strategies as well, such as tax abatements that would help very small landlords of like family homes keep their rents low in exchange for an abatement, or citywide provisions that would basically require landlords to get special permits if they're going to do some sort of alteration of the building, and these permits would require them to prove that they don't harass the tenants and that the demolition is required for safety reasons. So various groups are putting forth other anti-displacement strategies.
And this is something we've talked about before in other neighborhoods where affordable housing has been contemplated. And one of the issues, and I think you've blogged about this, is the income levels to which affordable housing tends to be targeted, which is based around the subsidies. Does the mandatory inclusionary, the citywide plan, address that concern at all with the kind of different packages that it's proposed?
Not really, actually. So the mandatory inclusionary zoning plan is set to be average at 60 or 80% of AMI, depending, or even up to 120% of AMI, depending on the option.
And what does that roughly translate to for a family?
120% of AMI can get up into the six figures for a family of four. 60 and 80% of AMI is kind of workforce housing at the high 30s to 50,000 up to 60,000 kind of range. So we're talking about workforce housing at the 60 and 80% of AMI, but it's higher than the median income in East New York. It's higher than the median income in Jerome Avenue. It's higher than the median income in downtown Flushing. It's well higher than the median income in East Harlem. And so what you're looking at under the current provisions is 85 to 100% of the housing produced under mandatory inclusionary zoning being unaffordable to the local community. I mean, that's not a recipe for economically diverse, inclusive neighborhoods. That's a recipe for gentrification. And to counter this, you need a real strong anti-displacement strategy. And communities have learned that there are two different things. There are promises and there are laws. And if you write an anti-harassment provision into the zoning code, if you pass a law through city council, that's a law that's guaranteed, just like the added density is written into law and is guaranteed. If you have programs and promises and budget line items for this year, that's great and we applaud that, and that's part of a comprehensive strategy, but those are not guarantees. And communities have been taken for a ride on promises. You have the Rheingold Brewery in Bushwick just recently worked out a deal for affordable housing, sold the site, back to the drawing board. So communities are really looking for legal guarantees for anti-harassment written into the zoning code. That is the #1 ask, and that is something the city has been extremely resistant to.
You mentioned the history, and obviously Mayor Bloomberg rezoned, I think, like 40% of the city. And you know, the concerns about affordability were always there. So were concerns about the process, the feeling that it was top down, that it was a fait accompli. De Blasio and his team have asserted that they have tried to take a different approach with planning. They had a lot of meetings in East New York. Do you feel as though there was a difference in terms of community input actually being sought and ingested into the process?
Has the outreach has the outreach improved? It has. Has the mayor sat down with us? No. It's great that we've sat down with his deputies and the line staff, but to get this plan across, it has to be the mayor. We've gotten rhetoric at the end of the day. It's about 16 months into this, and the mayor has still not said this is what it really looks like. And when we speak of AMI, I think it'd be great if we can talk about layman's terms and what it really means. It means that 30 to 40% of your household income is going toward rent. So say an average person that's making $1,000, let's say, who's working at the local Target, right, is bringing in $217 a week, right? So let's say of the $200 that they're making a week, a good 70 or 60 is supposed to go toward housing. So how is that affordable?
I wonder, you know, talking about the political process, in a planning debate like this, the local city council person is supposed to have outsized influence. Have you got a sense of how, you know, your local reps are lining up?
Our local reps definitely have been in conversation with us. I think they've been as transparent as possible. Definitely, we're not with them at the table when they're with the government entities, so one will never actually know what the end result's going to look like. But they've been voted into those positions that they're in, and we're hoping at the end of the day they're going to do what's best for their community. Now, our community, as Moses was saying earlier, we're financially strapped, so the housing subsidies are going to make a difference. You know, the mayor currently has programs that he's allocated, and in conversation with HPD, we've said, what are we going to do with the households that are receiving that monthly income is $1,000, so we're looking at $12,000 to $13,000 a year. Well, they're saying we can't talk about that because we can't help. But you know what? That's a sad story.
So we're in the ULURP process now, one of my favorite acronyms, ULURP. So what does that mean, Abby or Moses or anybody? What happens next? What will we see next? And when will this be resolved?
So the ULURP process is our Uniform Land Use Review process. And essentially, the city comes up with a plan. They issue an environmental impact statement saying this is going to be the effects of the plan. They bring it towards the community board. The community board votes on if they like it or if they don't like it, or a lot of times community boards will say, well, we like it if, or well, we don't like it but. But it's advisory, it's not binding. They take it to the borough president for the same process. Then it goes to the City Planning Commission. The City Planning Commission actually has a binding vote on it. Then it goes to the City Council. The City Council has a binding vote on it, and the City Planning Commission and City Council have to agree on the final package. And the way New York City land use politics generally work is the City Council defers to the local council person on anything in their district. So if the local council person supports it, City Council usually will
So a bureaucratic saga awaits. We'll all be following it. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you guys come back and talk about it again. Now let's follow something else. Two brothers grow up to be professional musicians, one a cellist, the other a violinist. They decide they want to run their own orchestra and create a collective called The Knights. They'll be performing here at BRIC House on October 17th, but in the meantime, here's a look at what they've been up to during their residency so far.
How long have we been brothers?
A very, very long time.
At least my entire life.
I've been a brother of him since I was at a very early age. I was his brother.
And I was even at an earlier age, your brother.
Right. Well, we come from a musical family. Our father played violin in the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra for over 30 years. Our mother was a flutist. And I started playing violin when I was about 4. And Eric came along a few years later. And I think we had 3 treble instruments in the house, 2 violins, flute, so we needed someone to anchor us. So I think there was a sense of both the Knights and also a little bit of, I don't know,
The
what.
quest. I mean, like, you know,
Yeah.
Knights getting, I mean, maybe it's cliche, but Knights being a group of people that come together and try to figure something out, whether it's, you know, a quest or a place to go or an achievement, something.
I think that quest for us is very much the music. I mean, the music, we often think, well, is it about the people in this group? It's only about the people, but no, it's about the music. But the music is what binds all the people together. And so that sense of reaching for something beyond yourself together with friends, you know, is a great, it is worth doing. It's not easy, but we love engaging. You know, the possibility in orchestral music, in classical music, you know, through thought-out music, is that one can have a very, one can go as deep as one wants into it, and but I think that often the idea is that once again it's something that you don't touch, you don't feel, you don't dance to, when actually it has all that physicality in it, and part of the Knight's mission is to make that more of a thing that really relates to people's lives.
BRIC stands for many different things, one being the Brooklyn community, obviously pulling on all different types of arts, artists, performers, and it feels like BRIC is the place where you could just walk in the door and hear very different things, a variety of performances and art happening. And I think, you know, the idea that the orchestral repertoire and ensembles should be part of this renaissance or whatever that's happened and happening in Brooklyn is so important.
Transferring from one high school to another is not an easy move, especially if you're an athlete. In most cases, after transferring from another school, the athlete, regardless of the sport, will have to sit out at least 1 year. For quarterback Sharif Legree, who transferred from Fort Hamilton High School to Grand Street campus earlier this year, he is now senior, so it's now or never. For the Legree legal team, the PSAL was moving much too slowly in terms of deciding whether Sharif should play this season, until this past Friday when the New York State Supreme Court stepped in and ruled in his favor. Joining me again to pick up where we left off last week are two men who know too well about how playing high school football here in New York City is Deval Ellis of Elite Prototype. Welcome, Deval.
What's up, Mike? How's everything?
I'm good. And also Chris Legree, founder of the Mo Better Jaguars.
How you doing, Mike?
And also John Rodriguez, the attorney, who's working on behalf of Sharif Legree. And if you know John Rodriguez, you know his brother Lloyd Rodriguez, who's also president of the Brooklyn Pit Bulls. All right, gentlemen, we have a case here. Never heard of anything like this before, where the Supreme Court had to step in to rule in favor of a player so he can continue his high school football career.
Well, that was because the PSAL did not move expeditiously to get it done. Had that been the case, we would not have had to move by way of order to show cause for an Article 78 determination regarding the prior administrative ruling.
Okay. Also, overall, as far as the case, also want to talk also about Sharif. How is he taking this whole thing?
Well, for a 17-year-old boy to go through that, it created a lot of anxiety. But we have a good support system around him. It was tough. It was tough on the whole family, but he managed through it. And we're grateful that we had good legal consultation around us also.
Okay. Now, from what I gather, last year he played at Fort Hamilton High School. He was a junior. In January, he transferred to Fort Hamilton High School because of
Transferred from Fort
Hamilton High School to Grand Street campus because it was a hardship case. He's living with his mother now, correct?
Correct. He moved from one legal guardian to another.
So that was the story right there. Now, was the PSAL notified back in January that this transfer was taking place?
I don't know the answer to that.
No. Procedurally, it's you submit a transfer when the rosters are getting ready to be active or activated.
Right.
That's usually later in the year, May, June, or July.
Right. Now, he was supposed to sit out 1 year, right? At least he's supposed to sit out this year, but he only has this year. So after he's a senior, he's graduating next year, this
Right.
now or never.
Right. I mean, the biggest thing here, and I know we are on limited time, I want to discuss the fact that we have limited time once again because it's a huge topic, is the fact that our kids just don't matter. You know, here's a young man who has an opportunity to play football past high school, and what the PSAL does so many oftentimes, they get stuck in the bureaucracy and you got to wait your turn and things like that, and our kids never get an opportunity to play. I spoke to Attorney Rodriguez before, and he said part of the issue is the fact that he was told 25 minutes before the game that he was ineligible to play. We didn't even have a chance to appeal. How do you, that's not even due process. How do you go through that? How do you do that to kids? And you can tell I'm upset, Mike, and the reason why I'm upset is part of the reason why I have this shirt on. You know how I get dressed up? We come on TV, I always have on the shirt and tie. Yeah. But I think it's an opportunity for me to talk about my kids a little bit. This is a young man named Shannon Richardson. He received the first lacrosse scholarship out of the PSAL. He designed this shirt because this is how he felt. You can see the skull, you can see the lacrosse, and you can see just a young man feel like he's dead walking out in these streets. A lot of our young men feel like they don't exist. They don't have to die to feel like they're not living out here. And it hurts me because I got over 250 kids who I come in contact with every single day who feel the same exact way. You don't know what it's like to step out of your dwelling and you're surrounded by poverty and pain. You got guns, you got violence, you got cops, you got gangs, and your only opportunity to get out of the hood is through sports, and sports don't matter. And that brings me to this station right here. Why every time we come here, we got 10 minutes? Every time I look at BRIC TV, hold on, Mike. I look at BRIC TV, right? You cover everything else in Brooklyn other than the people that matter the most. Everybody cares about Williamsburg, Dumbo. We get it, all right? Brooklyn is changing, but Brooklyn is still here. I'm Brooklyn. I'm Brooklyn. Brooklyn is still here.
The priorities have changed. But
how would you mean the priorities have not changed? It's still our people. The priorities have not changed, Mike. The only time they care about our people is when they walk into Atlantic Terminal Mall 2 or 3 at a time and they're getting kicked out by the so-called police or the so-called security guards. It's not fair. Our people matter. Our kids matter. We have no way to get out of here a lot of times other than sports.
The kids do matter.
But the kids do matter, but what? Why do we not have a sports show here on BRIC TV, Mike?
Priorities
I'm asking you.
There's
no priorities have not changed. It's not fair, Mike.
You gotta go.
It's not fair.
Wait. We got to get back to this case. All right. So where were we? We were now.
Let me just clarify something. First of all, the way any kid who attends a school, any school in the city, in the public schools, has a right to play athletics if they meet the criteria, the educational criteria, the grade point, and attendance. Okay, let's assume that the kid meets it. If he transfers, the rule is he has to sit out 1 year unless there is some other reason why he would not. Right. In this case, the PSAL has a rule, PSAL rule 3.1. 3.1 says essentially that if you are a child who's transferred from another school, and in this case, Sharif transferred via a hardship travel transfer.
Now, here's my other thing. He transferred, he's being highly recruited, correct? He transferred from Fort Hamilton to Grand Street campus. Why not stay at Fort Hamilton High School? He's in his senior year.
Excuse me, he transferred. There was a medical problem which required he moved from one parent who lived near that school, near Fort Hamilton, to move with another parent in Queens. The travel from Queens to campus was 23 minutes as opposed to the 2 hours some time it would take him to travel to Fort Hamilton. So he made a necessary change to help his family. The DOE said that was good reason. They called it a hardship travel transfer. Then, when the PSAL caught wind of the transfer, they said he had to sit out a year without looking into the fact that he qualified for the unless.
Can I ask a question?
The unless is that if he transfers from one legal guardian to another, that's a basis to change schools
So that's a
and
hardship.
play.
That's a hardship.
An exception to the sitting out for 1 year. So when you say he had to sit out 1 year, that wasn't true. And in fact, the Supreme Court agreed with me.
I just have a question.
Go ahead.
Do you think the bigger issue here is the law or the treatment and how it was handled? Because to me, that's the bigger issue here. Because, for example, I think that the DOE and sometimes the PSAL take advantage of disenfranchised families. A lot of the families don't have the resources. Now,
That's true.
this is a Legree we're talking. This is PSAL Brooklyn royalty here. If it wasn't the Legrees, would we still be sitting? Would you be here? Would they have the opportunity to be able to present their case if it was not for the Legrees? If they didn't have the resources, would they?
Well, you have to understand something. I grew up with the Legrees, all right? So you have to start with that.
I'm
I grew
not
up with
talking
the
about
Legrees.
you two. I'm just talking about.
But what I'm saying is, it depends on the child. Most children would not have had the resources to afford my services.
For the record, this is Chris's nephew also, so I just put that out there for the record. I have to say.
That was just my point, is that, you know, he's blessed. Like I was blessed. I had both my parents. I grew up in the house that my father owned. I was one of the blessed ones. So I had a backing behind me the same way Sharif had backing. Majority of my kids don't have that support system. So they find themselves in these predicaments and they end up getting their choices taken away from them.
Now, from my gather, also there's an organization out there called the Coalition for Youth Sports here in Brooklyn.
Student athletes. Formulated at Grand Street, and
so it's basically to protect,
and we
to protect the students.
Yeah, we hope in the future that it could grow into chapters on every school.
What is the basis for it anyway?
The basis of it's kind of like what Johnny's saying, to make sure things are done in a way that it's expedited, one, and that athletes and families are treated not just like football players. There's an incident, I don't want to get into it. The enrollment, certain student athletes going down to enrollments to transfer for whatever reason, and they were asked, do you play football? That's not appropriate. A parent signs a kid into a school. Right. A coach don't. But that's probably for another show.
And we should also note that had this been kids who dance,
right?
There's nothing that arts, nothing that would prevent them from going into a program in the following year.
From Brooklyn Tech to, say, Martin Luther King High School, and you want to be a theater major, you have no problem.
It's not a problem. And remember, we always have to remember, these sports are an avenue, not only to play, but avenue to a future. So we shouldn't be cutting off avenues.
So the PSAL basically has to catch up to modern times.
Right. And the fact is they don't care. Our kids don't matter to them. That's the bottom line. And I understand people here have to be political because they have to say the right things. I don't. I really don't care. I'm an advocate for the athlete. I'm an advocate for the families in Brooklyn who don't have someone to speak up for them. Our kids need these opportunities.
What are kids saying to you?
What are kids saying to me?
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I have kids that they walk out, like I said, they see gangs, drugs, cops. The only opportunity they have to get out of the streets is through sports. And we talked about this last time we were here. You don't want to tell a kid that you can get to college or other place other than sports. But the fact of the matter is that's the only way they see that they can get out is through playing sports. The only reason why my parents could afford for me to go to college, my brother to go to college, and my sister to go to private school was because I received the academic and athletic scholarship.
But your mother emphasized academics also.
Always. But if you don't have, like for example, you don't attract bees with vinegar, you attract them with honey. How do you get a kid to go to class? You can't go to class if you don't. I mean, you can't play sports if you don't go to class.
Correct.
And our kids feel like sports is their only way out.
All right. Eric Adams this weekend?
Yes, Eric Adams this weekend is having a October 4th, 2 o'clock in Lower Manhattan. They're going to meet and march over, and it's for athletes. He's sponsoring youth athletes. So it's important. It's an important consideration. He's out here behind youth sports in general, and I think it's great, and people should contact his office and find out how they can be part of it.
And Mike, I'm holding you accountable because we need more forums like this. We need more than 10 minutes. This is something that we have to be able to do.
We're going to discuss that. We will. I promise you.
I'm serious, Mike.
I will. I know you are. I know you are. And we're going to be on the case. We will. Wrap up. So where do we move forward now? With Sharif Legree?
Well, I'd like to say the following. Chris Legree has been fully approved.
Sharif Legree? Sharif Legree has
been fully approved. We believe that Now he's going to have the opportunity to showcase his talent. His talent will be showcased, and the schools that look at him will have an opportunity. Hopefully, he'll get the scholarship that he's
And hopefully, this won't happen again to other future athletes down the road.
I think personally that we need reform in some of the bylaws, but that's another meeting for another day. And I think that that's a big deal. If we could get some reform, and Johnny said, get it where things are expedited. And
we want due process, and we want expedient process. You know, because listen, he would be irreparably harmed this year if he wasn't allowed to play. And had he not hired me, who knows how long it would have taken for him to get on the field.
Now, the other question, real quick.
That was my point.
Can the PSL come back and appeal this at all? Is there?
I don't think there's any need to. I don't think they've shown any interest in
down the playoffs. Playoffs start in November. Or will there be an opportunity?
No. They've said he's fully approved. This is Alan Blanks. Alan Blank, I had a conversation with Alan Blanks. He indicated to me that he's fully approved.
All right, cool. Gentlemen, I got to go. We're going to have you back again. We're going to get on it. All right? I know, because I know you are. Now, from a mariachi lounge and restaurant in downtown Brooklyn, here's our next episode of Be Funny, grabbing the mic, and all ready to make us laugh are Jamie Roberts and Miles Green.
This is comedian Jamie Roberts. We're downtown Brooklyn right now at the Be Funny comedy show at Amarachi's. We're gonna have some fun tonight. Looking over the crowd, trying to make sure my ex-wife's not up in here. Just trying to make, she may have sent a representative out here. Y'all ladies are sneaky. Y'all are sneaky. Going through a divorce right now, which is crazy, because she wants half of everything. Like literally, like MTV, Comedy Central. Like she might come up here and finish half this routine. You understand what I mean? That's how, you see how she's clapping? You know what I'm talking about. That woman are vindictive. She took everything when she moved out. The silverware, how hurt you gotta be to take silverware? Another one you took the silverware. The drapes, you know how hard it is to get dressed in Brooklyn with no drapes? All my neighbors know my birthmarks. This is not a good feeling, man. Took the silverware. I was trying to flip pancakes yesterday with a spork. This ain't good. This is not good, people. It's not good. So I'm dating right now. I'm dating an older woman who's just like, hell yeah. You know, hey, yeah, I see y'all, hey. I see you in the hey. That is the accessorized right there. I see y'all. That is the accessorized section. The accessorized section. It's the difference between dating an older woman and a younger woman, you know what I mean? Y'all young women, y'all have an idea. These older women, they have an agenda. You know what I'm talking about right there? You could date a young chick for like some Beyonce tickets. Like, oh, you love me on the run tour? Yeah. You date an older woman, she's like, I'm just gonna be on Thursday. And let me put this AC in the window. I'm like, what? You got chores for me? I'm gonna hold on to you to the fall, help me rake these leaves. I'm like, wow, had no idea. It's true though, we met at the Shadow nightclub. Y'all know about the Shadow? You know about the Shadow? You gotta be 88 years old to get in the Shadow nightclub, right? You like your ID, wait, 85? Nah, you can't get in here. You're 85 years old, young boy, you can't get in here. You gotta be 88 years old to get in the Shadow. Everybody in there with a three-piece suit on too, like what? Every Saturday's Easter Sunday? What's going on? Every Saturday, Steve Harvey's in the club. What's going on? Are you serious? Y'all laughing because you've been there before. You know what I'm talking about. I seen some of you in here. I seen you. Yeah, it shut down because the old people shut that joint down. They didn't even shoot it up. Someone just died on the dance floor. They were like, you know what? We can't have no more activity up in here. We can't. Someone had a stroke up in here trying to do the electric slide. Trying to do the wobble up in That's the only two songs they play the entire night is the wobble and the electric slide.
Had a great time. Real funny. All the comedians are real funny. Had a great time.
I thought the show was great. I want to say congratulations to Billy because it was a great turnout, great comedians. Mwah!
My name is Miles Green. I'm down here at the Be Funny comedy show, live taping, Amarachi's, downtown Brooklyn. This is what's going to go down tonight. If you're not here, you missed it, right? It's going to be hilarious, clean comedy, no cursing. Straight clean comedy.
You ever get hit with breath that throw you off guard, you don't see it coming, you feel like they hit you, you be like, oh, well, what was that? Look around, people that ain't laughing right now, I'm talking about them. They be like, that ain't funny. No, sir, no, serious. Everybody in here knows somebody who sometimes it be your friend, and you don't want to hurt their feelings, so what you do? You start digging for stuff. You be like, hey, you want some candy? What they say?
What they say, I'm okay. You want to scream, no, you're not. You're killing me. But you ever have somebody who you know breath stink all the time, but they get up on you so fast, you got to hold your breath so you don't suck their breath in and destroy your kidneys. You be like, ah! They're looking at you like you about to pass out, but you... It's just, it's so true. You know, I talk about stuff that y'all talk about every day. Like I said, it's real stuff. Like if your house is dirty all the time, come outside dressed like your house. Stop fronting, putting on designer clothes, all kind of new designer stuff. If your house is dirty, you come outside dirty. Let me know what you're working with. Because everybody in here, you know somebody that dressed really, really nice, and you go over their house. You ever been in somebody's house, it's so dirty, you be in one spot scared to move? You be like... They be like, have a seat. You're like, no, I don't want to sit down. I don't want nothing to drink. You get outside and start shaking your clothes off because you seen something flying and you don't know exactly where it landed. But you ever find yourself in somebody's house and you're already in, but you're not sure if it's tight or not. But when you sit down, you never sit all the way back in their furniture. You sit on the edge and you keep doing stuff like this because you're not really sure. Because you know I'm right. You know I'm right. Let me tell you what happened to me. I met a young lady in the wintertime. She had on a full-length squirrel. She had designer boots, bag. Yeah, I'm serious. I could tell it was a squirrel because when she walked up, the coat was going.
The show was very entertaining. I laughed out loud a lot. It was really good. It was great. I was like cackling the whole time, you know? So it was really good. I might come to the next one.
Enjoy yourself. If you missed it, hey, log on. BCAT, Cablevision, Verizon. It's on everything. Check it out. Doing it Be Funny, baby. One time.
It's on BRIC TV, y'all.
That's right. Now we can attest to the fact that some very good things come from Chicago. And that also includes our next guest, Erin Maya, an experimental multi-genre singer, songwriter, artist, and designer. Woo! That's right. She is now Brooklyn-based, and as of today, is releasing her second album called The Sound of Erin Maya Volume 2, and in fact, she'll be singing something from it in just a few minutes. Erin Maya, welcome back to BK Live.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Tell us about the new album.
Chi-Town. Okay, sorry, I had to do the plug. So this is actually EP.
An EP.
And it's, I don't even know what number EP it is, but my first EP that I ever put out was called The Sound of Erin Maya. And so I put that out in 2010.
Okay.
And so this is the follow-up to that. It's kind of like a 5-year celebration.
I love this
How many songs on an EP?
Well, so an EP means extended play by definition,
Okay.
which doesn't really make sense because
LP is shorter than the long play.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but there's 7 tracks on here, 6 songs.
Enough to get started.
Yes, exactly. And it's kind of like an incubator project.
Right.
So it'll like shoot off to other projects.
What are you incubating?
Yeah.
Tell us.
Incubating.
Yeah.
There's a project that's going to come out hopefully in the next couple of months called Sound Escapes.
Okay.
Cool.
And so that's kind of like me playing around with sound, experimenting with just my voice and spaces.
You
and stuff.
experiment a lot with your sound.
I
Tell us a little
do.
bit about kind of the different collaborations you do, the different styles, influences.
So I have a lot of wonderful influences, including Amel LaRue, who I believe is still Brooklyn-based. She goes to Paris a lot, so she's just worldwide. Bobby McFerrin. I just love his playfulness and his experiment. You know, he's just young forever. Nina Simone, Sweet Honey in the Rock, just a lot. Paul Simon, just kind of like all over the place. Soul, folk, experimental, if that's a genre, which it is these days because everything is. Ambient, R&B. Really, I love good music, and I always have. So just kind of putting it all together. And hip hop even, you know. I'm a child of the 80s. And I didn't have an older sister or a brother who was like schooling me on hip hop, but I'm newly part of a band called The Experience, where the next to last E is a 3. And so we have all the different styles covered in that band. And so I'm getting schooled by the people in that band, including Edson Sean, who'll be playing with me later, and BD3.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you are from the city that works, and you have a lot of jobs. We've seen you at the table with Aaron Maya Maid. We've seen you on B-side even, backing up some great artists that have made their way through here. So you are mashing all these things together.
It's
so,
art, right?
Yeah, like you are living an artist lifestyle in Brooklyn now. And how are you keeping the lights on, making that happen?
You know, there are a few ways I'm keeping the lights on, but I am a teaching artist during the school year, and then in the summertime it gets very creative. So other things happen, but mainly that for the bread and butter. But also I'm trying to, you know, push harder and push harder with the art, with the things I make, with the music, with getting the music on shows, getting the music into people's hands for like films, those types of opportunities to try to make it a bigger and better part of my life as I go forward.
Tell us about Aaron Maya Maid.
Okay.
We're looking at some pieces.
Yes, it's a cork bracelet.
Upcycle.
Yes, so I do a lot of upcycling and recycling. I make bottle cap jewelry, I make cork jewelry. I also work with wire and T-shirts.
Yes,
and
like what I'm
like what
seeing,
you're
all these
seeing.
glorious pieces you're wearing right now.
And of course I knit and crochet, and so kind of putting those things together in different pieces. Color matters a lot to me. Patterns, some. I love African patterns. Depending on who is the wax maker of the fabric, I'm conscious of that. But I kind of can't keep my hands still. I'm a little bit of a busybody. I'm a little bit, like literally I don't even remember where I was yesterday. But someplace I was sitting there and it was like, oh, you know, you don't have to do anything. And I was like, well, let's just move this around and let's just put this
So
together.
make us play Where's Waldo with the EP. How can we get it? Are you on iTunes, SoundCloud?
Yes, so right now, as of today, which is actually my late grandfather's birthday, September 30th, it's out on my Bandcamp, which is aaronmaya.bandcamp.com.
Aaronmaya.bandcamp.
And so that's where you can get it now. And it will be on there forever, but in about a month, it will also be on all other forms like iTunes and CD Baby. And
well, I think the best advert is you actually singing, so I'm going to ask you to make your way over here. And while you do that, am I going to tell the people what's happening tomorrow?
I think so.
Okay, so tomorrow on BK Live, the question of diversity in the New York City tech sector, as in, is there any? We'll talk to someone who's done the research, as well as someone who wants to open up the tech world to more kinds of people, and who's putting his money where his mouth is.
And a new documentary film is coming out called Radio That Changed Lives, about two young men whom you might remember called Stretch and Bobbito, whose late night show had a huge impact on the history of hip hop, and all of us will talk to Stretch and Bobbito and meet the film's editor.
Then in classic BK Live Thursday style, we've got music and some fun. We're going to check out the latest episode of Playset, when musicians that perform at BRIC Celebrate Brooklyn play us a song, and also chat with our 4-year-old host, Jack. And the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce joins us for Taste of Cheers New York, a food and beverage fest happening at Industry City in Sunset Park this coming weekend.
And tonight, we've got our live music show B-side, and the studio's gonna be spinning when Rebellum, a spin-off of Greg Tate's Burnt Sugar Orchestra, gets things going. That's live at 7:30. So if you get here a little early, you can grab a seat in the studio. Meanwhile, we've got live music right now. Accompanied by Edson Sean, here is Aaron Maya singing, I Want to Be Beautiful.
I want to be beautiful, want to be beautiful. I want to be so much more, want to be beautiful. I want to be beautiful, want to be beautiful. I want to be so much more, yeah, I want to be beautiful. When I look in the mirror, I want to be beautiful, 'cause I just got my hair done. I want to be beautiful. And when some strangers see me, I want to be beautiful. And when I'm praying on my knees, I want to be beautiful. I want to be beautiful. Want to be beautiful. I want to be so much more. Yeah, I want to be beautiful. I want to be beautiful. Want to be beautiful. I want to be so much more. Yeah, I want to be beautiful. When I'm getting my nails did, I want to be beautiful. And when I'm acting real hell-bent, I want to be beautiful. Sometimes I get real selfish, but I still want to be beautiful. So when I ask for forgiveness, I want to be beautiful. I want to be beautiful. Want to be beautiful. I want to be so much more. Yeah, I want to be beautiful. I want to be beautiful. Want to be beautiful. I want to be so much more. Yeah, I want to be. Oh, but sometimes I start to losing my mind. And don't you know that sometimes I cross over enemy lines? But deep inside I know I have the roots to grow. And somewhere in me it says that I am bound to be beautiful. I'm bound to be beautiful. I want to be so much more. Yeah, I want to be beautiful. I want to be beautiful. I want to be beautiful. I want to be so much more. Yeah, I want to be beautiful.
Thank you. Real music is coming back, y'all. Get that EP. I'm sending it out to Twitter land and Insta land right now. What's your Instagram handle?
Aaron Maya, ARINMAY.
Aaron Maya. We'll see you guys later. Thank you so much. That was phenomenal.
Thank you.
Good job.